Hi, welcome to Beginner Intuitive Development class. Just want to let you guys know to hang on to the end of the video because we're going to be doing practice. Just wanted to give you heads up on that. Also, at the end of the video, you're going to have links for attachments for prayer, for aura, for the different mediums where your intuition comes in. So make sure you don't miss that, okay? But we're going to practice. Can't wait for you to get through it all. Thanks. Hi, I'm Erica Arms. Welcome to our intuitive development class. You clicked, you downloaded. I'm so excited. This is going to be a lot of information, so I actually hope that you grabbed a pen and paper. And if you didn't, just pause us and grab it. So this is why I'm doing this class, is because this is my strongest passion, I think. When I became intuitive, I didn't have anybody to fall back on, to call, ask a friend, what the heck is going on? How do I even get this gift on its way? So a few years ago, I actually wrote a book. It's called The Handbook for the Recently Intuitive. And the reason I wrote this book is because I didn't have the help that I needed when my gifts started. So we're going to be referencing this book. You don't need this book to get this information in this class, but it would be helpful. So this is how we're going to start. This is my law. My law is that we live in love and light. You have free will, you have free choice, and we're here to teach and learn and to learn and teach. So that's the foundation, just to get it out of the way. So let's talk about what is the definition of intuition. So let me read it to you. Intuition has been defined as the ability to acquire knowledge without proof, evidence, or consciousness reasoning, or without understanding how the knowledge was acquired, a knowing, through many different mediums and methods we'll discuss later. My definition of intuition is it's higher consciousness. This is God consciousness. We all have the ability. It's whether you choose to use it professionally, to use it to help guide yourself, or whatever the case is. Now, let's talk about briefly meditation. Meditation is simply a practice that you can stay centered and present in the moment. Now, how many of us have problems with that? The kids are grabbing at us, the spouse is grabbing at us, whatever is grabbing at us. How can we stop and listen to ourselves? Or listen to divine guidance? So this is just going to be so much fun. And I'm going to be covering so much stuff. Honestly, after this class, you're going to look at things differently, everything around you, whether it's the food you're eating or the tree that you're looking at or the leaf that might be on the ground. It's going to change your life. I know that. So let's get started. Okay. I've told you why I wrote the book. Is because I needed a resource to help. So this is what we're going to get. You clicked on this video to learn more. There's no coincidences. You obviously need to learn something more. Whether it's someone trying to communicate with you on the other side, it could be anything, but there's something in your life that needs enlightenment. I consider myself a spiritual person, but I want to talk more about this. Because I am a medical medium, but I can still connect with spirit. I can do other things that aren't under the medical medium category. Once you've opened up the door to communicate with divine consciousness, anything can come in. My background. I'll tell you about my background. I was actually raised Catholic. I had to go to church every Sunday for 23 years until I stood in my power and kind of told my mom, I don't want to go anymore. I consider myself a very spiritual person. That doesn't mean I don't believe in God or Jesus, because I do consider myself a Christian too. I just believe in a higher power, in that rules and regulations of how I should be is against free will, free choice. And that's not what I believe our divine God wants for us. So let me just put that aside. Messages can come in different ways. Oh, and we're going to go through all of them. So let's just start here. You can get messages through auras and seeing colors. Colors represent something, and it's so easy to Google. I saw a blue aura on my girlfriend. I see a green aura around my husband. It doesn't matter if you see it in plain sight or if you see it in your third eye. Let's say you fall asleep at night and all you can see is green and maybe even an indigo purple color. That actually can mean that the heart needs healing, or your third eye might be blocked, or your seventh chakra might be blocked. But there's auras, we could sit here and talk forever, but know that auras are energy centers around the body, or any living thing for that matter, okay? You could be experiencing seeing or having visions. We call that clairvoyance, and I'm gonna get into the details about that. You could hear things. You could physically feel things. How many empaths are out there today? I know a lot of them, especially these young ones that come in the office. They might have nervous energy. They feel all the, unfortunately, sometimes mostly negative energy around them, but also positive energy can be overloading to an empath. And maybe that's you, and maybe that's why you were guided to watch this video too. You can obtain intuition through smelling. Let's say you smell apple pie. No one's cooking an apple pie, but someone's trying to get through to you. Maybe your grandma cooked apple pies on every visit. It could be something like that. Then there's another form of automatic writing. Downloads can come through you that way. My daughter, for example, she can give you the story of your life, but she just starts writing. And if you know some of the other popular mediums out there, they do a lot of writing to get their messages. Telepathy. That's amazing to me. So I have to share my experience with that, but it was in dream form, but it was so real. I know it was very real. When my sister-in-law, Debbie, had died, I actually had a dream shortly after that I had visited her in the morgue, but it was so strange because I was actually hovering over her. I saw her beautiful curly hair laying on the table, but then there was white linen behind her. And I looked at her and I started to giggle, and we weren't speaking, but we were speaking through our minds. And I'm like, isn't this funny? This is how we get to communicate now. And we both giggled. And I'll tell you, that was a life-changing dream for me, because that was telepathy, right? We're going to talk about dreams. We're going to talk about animals and insects being messengers. They show up every day in the office, and if you know me, you're not leaving there without something furry or scaly showing up in the office. And then, of course, we have our angels, our loved ones, our guides, ascended masters that always want to communicate with us. Rocks, living plants, your meal for the evening. You might see something in your mashed potatoes. Messages are going to come through that way. So we're going to get into a bigger description. And this is some of the popular words that you hear, but I'm going to go to page 19 so we can go through it a little bit more formal. We talked about the aura readings. Clairvoyance it's primarily my gift, is kind of how I started, and I think that my guides actually gave me this gift because it forced me to remove the ego. And it's the ability to see a person, object, location, or physical events through another perception in your third eye. So for me, it's like mini movies and pictures when I close my eyes. And some of you are going, well, that never happened to me, and I don't think I can ever do that. And maybe you won't, but you might have another superpower in here, so don't beat yourself up too soon. There's clairsentience. This goes back to the empath, where someone can feel the person's energy that they're around. It could be your heart hurts or your big toe hurts. You could be picking up someone else's energy, okay? Clairaudience, the ability to hear messages. I have developed that one. You got to stop and listen, though, to hear, but some people will hear. There's the clairfactance, which is through smell. We just talked about that. The cognance, easy for me to say, is just having a knowing, just a knowing. It could be simple as, your grandmother you could just say, oh my God, my hip really hurts and I need to call my grandma. Well, you just had a knowledge that maybe she fell and hurt her hip. There's clairgustance, which is getting into more of the smell. There's a couple things, I think they're kind of duplicated there. Mediumship is channeling. Channeling can happen in a couple different ways. You could tap into a spiritual energy and listen to what they have to say or see what they have to say. And believe me, it's like playing charades. It's not always that easy. Or in some cases, let's go back to the movie Ghost, if I'm not dating things too much. You can have energy come through you that way. It's very invasive and uncomfortable, and I wouldn't recommend doing that. I think that we can get messages without being in our energy system being invaded. And then there's psychometry. Psychometry is really amazing. Let me grab something here. Let's say that this shell was, great Grandpa Joe's, okay? If this was his shell, once you get this gift developed, you will hang on to the shell and you'll stop and listen. There's always messages that can come through objects too that, could have been owned from someone that you love, living or deceased even. So don't think it's just deceased people either. So that's kind of just the rough. We're going to start digging into this a lot deeper, but I wanted to give you the different types of mediums that can come through where you can develop your gift. So obviously it's kind of endless. Now, before we start digging into connecting to some of these mediums, I want you to know that clearing your space is just as important as brushing your teeth before you leave the house. Anytime you want to connect to divine consciousness, you have to pray for only love and white light. I use a holy spray around my space, but because I'm a shaman too, I will open up all 4 directions for protection. I'll bring in Archangel Michael. You have to protect your space. Why do you have to protect your space? Well, it's real simple. If you're communing with a higher intelligence or someone that is in a different frequency, we can have negative frequencies try to disrupt our communication. And that will always be fear-based. So again, if you need help with that too, we'll get into it. It's in the book too, but just know whatever your practices are, it could be a simple prayer, please protect my space because I would like to communicate on my life's direction or a direction for my client, friend, family, whatever that is. I think the biggest question that I'm going to have for you wanting to learn more about how to develop your intuition is, what is your intent? What is your intent for this? Is it for yourself? Is it so that you can do this professionally? I will tell you what my intent is. My intent is, because obviously being a naturopath, hopefully you've watched the video to learn more about me so you can get my background. But my intent is, how do I help heal the client that's come to me? And so my intent might be body systems. I might just intuitively scan that person and go, okay, I've got gallbladder, liver, throat. I don't know what's going on. It could be emotional. I tell you, your guides you're gonna learn how to get this, but that's my intent. So make sure that you're really clear on your intent for what you want out of this. Because you don't want to confuse the universe either. So it's kind of like my daughter will say, my youngest daughter will say, Mom, ask your guides. I need to know about this. Ask your guides. I need to know about this. Yes, they can tap into her consciously to find out. And actually, there's a fly flying around in here. And don't think that there's not a message in that. There is. I'm going to find out after we're done here. What's her intent? She knows her intent up here. And honestly, I don't necessarily need to know her intent, because if I knew her intent, the ego would get involved. But anyways, just know your intent. The other thing is, because I do honor free will, free choice, that before you use your intuitive gifts for a friend, a family member, a client, you need their permission. I've learned the hard way over the years, so I'm going to save you the heartache. There was a time that a family member, I won't say if it's my brother or my sister, but it was a sibling, that I was worried about their health, and I overstepped my boundaries because I was passionate to help them. Not everyone wants your help, and it's okay. You just have to accept that. That's not a bad thing. In my office, it is one of my things that we have to respect the journey of others. We're all at a different level. We're all at a different plateau. It's okay. It's okay that she didn't want my help or he didn't want my help. It's okay. So don't beat yourself up. Just make sure that you get permission from who you want to help. Negative visions, thoughts, we've talked about that. And once you start getting into your intuition, again, we've talked about clearing the space, and that's super important. If you ever get a fear-based energy or vision or feeling or hearing or seeing, be cautious, step back, and make sure that you have made it very clear in your space that that information is not allowed. It's not allowed in my space. I will tell you that. In fact, my office on both ends of the building are protected. I just don't want it in my office. I just try and keep everything in love and light, right? And here's the toughest one of all. We need to learn how to remove our ego. What is ego? Ego is the wanting to control a situation and trying to control the outcome. Or it could be something within yourself that kind of takes over. It's kind of like having the angel over here and having the devil over here. I would say the ego is the devil over here, and the angel over here is the non-attachment. So let's say your friend calls you and says, oh my gosh, Sally, you need to give me a reading. I don't care what you use, cards, use your intuition, do whatever you got to do. How do you remove your ego? Let's say you know her life story, you know what's been going on in her life. How do you remove the ego? Trust. Trust what you're getting. She's coming to you for guidance. Just trust. And I will tell you, my best clients in the office are the ones I've never met, because I have no ego attachment, right? So I know everything that's coming through that they need to hear for their own well-being and health is nothing's attached to it. So I know I'm usually quite spot on. Okay, so right now we're going to actually take a little break. I want you to take a break. I want you to stretch, take some deep breaths, get some water, and then we're going to start digging into how to get messages, okay? All right, we'll see you in a minute.
pixels.
All right, we're back from break. So now we're going to talk about you. You're here for a reason. So what kind of experiences have you had since childhood on crazy coincidences that you couldn't explain, or you were told not to maybe go left on the road and you went right? You've dreamt a lot. I'll tell you about mine too. And I'm going back to childhood. Let's really go back and see how things have developed for you. It's not a coincidence that you're watching this. You want to develop something new. You already have an indication that you have a gift, so we're just going to elaborate on it. So let's drum up some of this stuff. When I was 9 years old, because people always ask that question, well, Erica, how long have you been intuitive? Well, I think we're all intuitive. Some of us are just a little bit more sensitive than others. And I was one of those kids. When I was 9, I remember grabbing the neighborhood kids, and I sat in the front yard of my mom and dad's house. I had everyone sit Indian style. We're all in a circle. And in 1978, one of my grandfathers died, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, let's do a seance. I want to connect with my grandpa. Now, don't ask me why I did this, how I knew to do this. I don't even remember, but I remember looking up into the sun and I saw his face perfectly. Craziest thing ever. That was one of my experiences. The other thing when I was a little girl, oh, the dreams. Lord God, the dreams. And in fact, even today, I dream. I dream about people that have passed. I dream about events that are going to happen. If that's you, you're not alone. It's just consciousness trying to communicate with you. Sometimes, even if it's on the negative, scary stuff, I disregard some of that sometimes. But on the other hand, I'm like, what is subconsciously this thing I have to work on? Now, does that sound like something that you've experienced? Going back to, we're still in the childhood thing, or even who you are. Those are just indications that you have a gift. I was in Las Vegas for a class. It was actually my certified natural health practitioner certification. And I know that there was a man in the shower. When I was in the shower, I actually had, I'll tell you what I was doing. I was actually having a cigarette and I had the window cracked open so the smoke would go out. But I knew that there was an old man behind me and he's like, you're not supposed to do that. Well, I thought it was normal for me to have that experience because I'm like, I will do whatever I want. Like, who are you? I didn't even know who it was. If you're not having those experiences, it's okay. You're watching this for a reason and you're going to learn something new. So just think about your own experiences. Don't disregard that you're not able to create this or develop your intuition professionally, because you can. Okay, so the easiest form, we're going to go straight up. Let's say that you can't hear spirit, you can't see, feel, touch, smell, all of it. We're going to go with the basics. Is this your intent? Is this something that you want to do? If it is, we're going to start out simple. Look around you. Let's say you're going through a tough time in your life and you want to get an answer about your next move or a decision that you need to make or something about your health. Here's how you do it. You could be walking along, going to a park, and you pick up a rock. Just say, guides, I want some divine information about what I need to do with my life. Trust. This is how you get your messages, is just trusting. So you could look at the face of this rock, and you know it's kind of funny. I see a frog right now. You might not see it, but I see two eyes. And I haven't, actually, this rock's from Costa Rica. But now I see a frog, and it's kind of funny that they came up a couple days for me. So I'm missing a message. If it came up twice, I need to look up the frog animal totem. It could be as simple as this. It could be as simple as a piece of wood. Look at it, ask. If you want a message, look at it. With the first thing that comes to your mind, I don't care if you see something, if you hear an I love you, whatever it is, you need to trust. And the only way you're going to be able to get the confidence is trusting. We'll get into practicing a little bit later. A feather. You can get a message from a feather. You know, how many more months is it going to be until I get my new house? And you could see now I'm thinking this better not be for me because I'm looking at the dots on the feather. You could count just whatever comes to your mind. You're going to be focused on what you need to know. Clouds. Oh my gosh. If you're looking for a message, look into the clouds. I had the most profound reading for a friend. I was literally laying on a raft up north. It was this last summer. And one of my girlfriends unfortunately lost her father. And I'm on the phone with her, and she's distraught. This was a big deal. I'm looking in the clouds because I'm laying down, right? And I saw the profile of her dad, and I saw he was wearing a hat. And I'm like to my girlfriend, did your dad wear a hat? Because if he did, I see him in the clouds right now. Well, it got a lot more interesting, let me tell you. Here's the deal, guys. I opened up to listening. And because I opened up to listening, the clouds were moving. I saw a dragon. I ignored the dragon as I'm on the phone with my friend. And about 5 minutes later, the dragon moved and got a little bit closer to the face of the dad over here. So those were messages. In that case, I said, hey, friend, you need to look up the dragon animal totem. There's a message in there for you from your dad. So that's a way. Your dinner plate, ask for a message, look at your dinner plate. The first thing that comes to mind, that's your answer. I love bonfires. Fires transform, and if I could sit here all day long and tell you the things that I've seen in fires. It's not that I have a superpower. It means that I'm looking and I'm aware and I'm wanting to learn. You can see, I've seen crucifix, I've seen angels, I've seen leopards, I've seen tigers. When you open up your mind to wanting to receive a message, there you go. Try a fire. Next time you're sitting around the fire pit, give it a shot. Teacups. If you use loose tea, you know, there's such things as called tea leaf readings. We actually do them in the office as practice, but there's messages in there. Go with what you see. Tea leaves can move around and make shapes for you that you can look into. Snow. The snow can do that too. So I'm going to give you something that just happened, oh gosh, I think maybe a month and a half ago. So I walked outside with the dogs, and there was a lot of snow, and my shepherd was a little scared to walk into the snow. So I'm like, I'm just being quiet and I'm listening, but he's not moving. Like, he's next to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know this dog's got to go to the bathroom, but he's scared to go into the snow. I literally looked down, and there's a leaf there in the shape of a human throwing something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're connecting. Okay, I need to grab one of his ropes or balls that's in the yard here, and I need to throw it because that'll get him the courage to get into the snow to use the bathroom. I wish I would have taken a picture of the leaf because I don't think anybody would have believed it. But I did go in the house and show my husband the leaf, and I think he was amazed. That was a message. It was just a message in a leaf sitting in the snow that in order to get my dog to use the bathroom, I had to fake or throw something into the snow to get him to go. And we succeeded. It was success. Paintings. Paintings are pretty amazing. I have a friend that's an intuitive painter too, and You don't need an intuitive painter. You could just, if you have a favorite piece of artwork at home that you just looked at and says, I need a divine message from it, trust it, look at it, and see what you get, okay? And you can Google just about anything. If you see an animal come up, and whether it's an elephant or an ostrich or whatever you see in your plain sight, then look it up, Google it. I'm going to be looking up the fly animal totem because I just can't remember everything that I see and what they represent. I do a lot of them, but anyways. What's another thing? Trees. Trees have a lot to say too. And you've got bark on trees, so it's kind of creative that you can actually narrow in on it. But anything, this is going to change your life, you guys. If you just practice it and trust it, it's 100% accurate. It is, especially when your purpose is in love and light. You're going to get the right answers that you need. So that, I would have to say, is probably the most simplest form of getting messages. Maybe some of you have already experienced getting, oh, my loved one sends me nickels everywhere. How in the heck does that happen? They know how to place things in the right time in the right space so you know that they're present. Trust it. Shortly after my mother died, I kept on seeing 11s everywhere. And I was at dinner about 6 months after my mom had passed with my family. And my oldest daughter said, Mom, I'm seeing 11s everywhere. And I went, oh my gosh. I said, you know what, honey? I am too. I know that's Grandma. I know it's her. And it's a beautiful angel number. So trust what you see. It can be repetitive numbers. But again, as soon as you open up that door to spirit, that you're willing to listen, just sit tight because the floodgates will open. Trust me. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about oracle cards, because this is another great way of getting messages. Again, we're trusting. Let's say I'm shuffling the cards, okay? We're shuffling, and, a couple fall out. Was it an accident? Oh, no, I dropped them? No, you better be looking at those messages. This is a really easy way to get messages with Divine Spirit. There's a couple ways. It can be the cards, exactly what it says. So example, this card says, and this deck's beat up, by the way, it was my first one. It says, have you asked your angels for help with this? Now, isn't this ironic that this is the card on the back of the deck? Have you asked angels for help? This is your message. All right, so we're going to go a little bit deeper into the oracles. I'm going to grab one here. This particular card says emotional sensitivity. Let's say I pulled the card for you. Okay, it says that you're emotionally sensitive. Honor and respect your deep sensitivity as it is a gift to all of us. Not a mistake. I'm going to go a little bit deeper, though, because I've had practice, right? I'm actually going to use this as my painting message, and I'm going to look deeper into this. I'm going to look at the flowers. In this case, I see fall for somebody. I see something coming up in the fall for someone, and I see angel wings around them that you're going to be safe. I don't know who needs to hear that, but that's what I'm getting out of the message. You can go deeper into oracles too. This is oracle. There's a difference in tarot. Tarot is actually thousands of years old. The Egyptians used tarot, believe it or not. I did bring a tarot deck today. This is pretty much a standard deck. This is a separate training class for sure, because there's a lot of cards in a tarot, and it doesn't matter what flavor of tarot that you're using, whether you like Egyptian or you're using Native American or something else that's out there, the messages are generally the same, right? For example, oh goodness. Let's see, as I'm trying to find one to help you out. All right, so this one is like the King of Cups. This would represent the king, the leader, the abundance around him. It could be he has 2 cups that are filled already or waiting to be filled. You know, those are just some of the things that you can get out of the tarot, but they're usually standard. I don't use tarot so much in my office, mainly because I never want any negative messages, and I'm not saying that tarot is negative at all, because these are great messages. I just choose Oracle because it's usually on the lighter side, and I love Oracle, and I probably own about 20 different decks. So those are another way of getting messages. So now, let's say that you don't have access to Oracle or tarot cards to get your messages. So here is a deck that I made at home. Guess what? You can get them for $1. Water, forgive. There's 52 cards in this deck. So what I've done for myself, and actually even for my youngest daughter, is I grabbed inspirational words that were important to us, like angels are important to me, the chakra energy centers are important to me, water is obviously important to all of us, stones and crystals. I mean, you can put anything on these cards that you want that can help guide you. It gets a little hard with these just because there aren't pictures, but there's numbers. Like maybe this is a message that someone that you love needs 4 glasses of water a day. But again, you can have fun with it and trust, right? It really starts with the basics. You don't have to just raise your hand and go, I want to be clairvoyant. I want to be clairsentience. I want to be this, I want to be that. Just let this gift grow. It's going to grow the way it's supposed to. But if you just start off with the baby steps, and the baby steps meaning grab a leaf out of your yard. Take a nature walk and see what the animals want to say to you, right? We can start there. All right, so on the animal subject, because I'm a shaman, and even prior to being a shaman, I would have Reiki energy sessions with clients in the office, and all these animals are coming through. You'd almost think I was Snow White because they're always around me, in spirit, of course. Let's say you're driving down the road and a family of deer run across your path. Erica's going to be looking up the deer animal totem in a heartbeat, because there's a message there for you. If you're focusing on a squirrel that is in your bird feeder every morning, but you're not getting the message exactly, maybe that squirrel has something to tell you, and maybe that's why they're coming in every morning. Get out your phone and look up the squirrel animal totem. There's a lot of great sites out there. I had a family of raccoons. How many times do you see a family of raccoons? This was a couple years ago, driving home from work, and it looked like the mom and babies were crossing the road in the daylight. Well, it was probably dusk. My gosh, I'm like, oh my God, what do the raccoons want to say to me? Use the animals to your advantage. Spiders, even those creepy crawlers, they have a message for you too, so don't disregard it. Let's see what else. I don't want to forget because there's so much here to talk about. Let's go back to how to decipher your messages. When you're getting a message, let's say you picked up a rock and you see a palm tree and waves in that rock. Well, what does that mean to you? Does it mean that you should get on a plane and go south, or does it mean you need rest and relaxation? Your interpretation is your own. It is your own. Once we get a little bit more advanced and you're dealing with spirit guides and you're knowing how to communicate with them and help and have them help you, or even it doesn't have to be a spirit guide. It could be Jesus, could be Buddha, could be any deity out there. Your interpretation is going to be individual to you. Trying to give you an example. Oh, okay. So when someone comes into my office and I see a piano in my third eye, because that's mostly how my gifts come through, it doesn't necessarily mean that they should be playing the piano, but I know 100% what it means. It means they need more creativity in their life. That's my interpretation. Yours might be different. Just to give you an example, okay? So just going back to trusting yourself. This is just like your one-on-one code with divine source and how you interpret that. So let's talk about spirit guides, because we've had a couple classes recently on how to connect with your spirit guide, and there's lots of wonderful meditations out there to do that. I met my spirit guide, one of them, in, oh gosh, it was about 10 years ago now. I was actually doing a very deep meditation. You can find out a lot of information in deep meditations. What in the shamanic world is called a journey. And through that deep meditation, I actually met one of my guides. Her name is Penelope. I saw her in my third eye with every detail down to the lace of her dress. She was there to help me, and in my vision, she was kneeled down, and there was this wall between us, and she couldn't get to me, but she was like there telling me, I'm here to help you. She is one of my spirit guide BFFs. When you're ready, we can work on that with you. I have another guide. Her name is Mother Jaguar. She is shorter stature. She is very authoritative, not so much fun, but very serious. So she's kind of like me. She's like the kick in the butt guide when you need it, but boy, she's a lot of help. But she's, again, Native American. Penelope is more Egyptian. But this is getting deeper into developing your intuition, because I use my guides on a daily basis. Definitely daily basis, sometimes a dozen times a day. So, what else? So the question I have for you is, are you wanting to become a healer, or is this just doing this for fun for yourself? I really believe that if you're guided to listen to more divine consciousness and light and love, then you are a healer, and you've been guided to help others in whatever capacity that is, whatever training that is. I hope that this has been helpful for you. Don't forget about interpreting your dreams. And so let's talk about one other thing. Let's talk about judgment. So when I opened up my center and I started being more open about my gift, because I hid it for a long time. I did. I hid it with people that were my friends, my family. Let's call those friends more acquaintances now, because once you step into your true self, you're going to attract the tribe that is supposed to be near you. But let's go back to when I was kind of still hiding who I truly was. It's judgment, right? People are like, oh my God, what do they do? Are they a psychic? I don't believe in psychics. You know what? That's okay. You're entitled to your own interpretation. But here's the deal. I live in love and light. I talk to Jesus. I pray every morning. I pray for the whole world every morning. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be your true self. I don't hide anymore. But I am very open for those that come in my office that have never been into a holistic center. They've never been taught that you can treat, some ailments with just garlic and oregano. But I still give them that choice. I'll say, I am an intuitive. Are you okay if I use that gift? Because I don't want to infringe upon someone's journey that maybe not be ready for it. Gotcha? But don't take it personally. Just know and respect again that everyone's on their own journey. And be elated and happy that you have a gift, because I have an aha moment every day, every single day in my office, because I find that this gift is amazing. Amazing. And I've helped so many people with having that gift. So I hope that you're able to grow it. I hope this information's been beneficial. We don't have to be done here. I will tell you that I love working one-on-one with people. We do have appointments available if you wanted to Zoom, if you want to come in the office, if you're abroad, Zoom can work. And I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute appointments if you want to do more one-on-one coaching. If you want help, we're here. I wish I had this when my gift started developing because I remember when I started really seeing things, I think it was trusting what I was getting. I did reach out to a really famous psychic medium not too far from where I live, and I think she was just overwhelmed with too many messages from other people, so I never heard back. I kind of felt alone. Like, what do I do with this? What does anybody do with this? How do I know what this means? Just know you're not alone. It starts with baby steps, but again, as soon as you open up the door to want to hear and listen and see, it'll come through like floodgates. And see, this fly is still hanging around here, so I'm excited to see what he has to say. All right, you guys, have a good day. I think that's it for now. Thanks. Hi there, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, but now we have time to practice. So how are we going to practice? We're actually going to be focusing on 6 pictures, and you're going to be seeing the first picture. The first picture is going to be of a leaf with a heart in the middle of it. Now, before we get started on the first picture, I want you to intuitively chime in to what you need to know. If you want to practice on a loved one or a friend, you can, but you need their permission first. I am choosing to pick, I'm picking somebody that actually hasn't watched this video yet, but I know is going to watch this video. Isn't that interesting? But I'm not going to give out the name. But when I intuitively go through the picture, I'm going to tell you what I see, but I also need you to grab a piece of paper and pen, and I want you to write down the messages that you're getting, again, for yourself or the person that you're picking. So we'll give you a few minutes to get ready, okay? I'll see you in a minute. Okay, now let's begin. I want you to look at this picture. I want you to practice feeling, smelling, hearing, seeing. I want you to trust all your instincts on what you're getting from this leaf. This is a trusting process, okay? I'm going to tell you what I'm getting. This person needs to bring more love into their heart. I'm seeing that this person just had a blood test with a finger prick. That's just going to confirm who's watching this. I'm also seeing a kaleidoscope. So I feel like this person either has a stained glass, something or other in their kitchen area or window so things can shine in. It could even be a crystal that spins that's bringing a kaleidoscope into their home. Now you might say, well, Erica, why is that important? And I've also asked the same question, why is that important that I'm seeing that? Out of those 2 or 3 messages, first of all, that person needs to bring more love into their heart. That's really the biggest message. The second message of them just getting a finger prick of a blood test is identifying them. And the third thing also could be identifying them. So what does this person need to know? Maybe it was just affirmation that, oh, that's me. I just, got my finger pricked. And I have a stained glass something or other, or a prism in my window, which makes a kaleidoscope in my home. So maybe those 3 messages, 2 of them were actually tagging the person, but I think the most important thing is bringing love into the heart for this person. Now, I'm hearing that some of you may be getting something around fall time that love might be coming into your life. That's fabulous if you got that message. There's no right or wrong thing here. This is, again, just practice. I'm just telling you what I got, and you might be thinking, well, Erica, you videotaped this. How did you know who was going to watch this? We are universal consciousness. And on the other side, they don't know time. So I know, we find that interesting. So we're done with practice 1 on the leaf, okay? So the next picture that we're going to go into, and again, I'm going to give you a minute to look at it. It looks like a mountain with an old man resting at the top, and it looks like we have the moon and people traveling. So I'm going to give you a minute to look at the picture while I also look at it, and we'll get back to you in a minute. Okay, did you have enough time? I hope you did. Some of these things can come through super fast and sometimes they don't. This is what I'm seeing for the picture. I'm seeing that this person has a dragon animal totem. I'm seeing that they're weary and they're worn out. They need help. And I don't think they know who to turn to. On this particular one, what I'm hearing is that angels will not take away your free will, free choice unless you give them permission. So if you're in a position that you need some help, this is a good time to reach out to an Archangel Michael or Raphael. There's dozens of them. That's what you're being guided to do. And it would be a good idea to release anything that doesn't serve your higher good on the next full moon. And I don't even know when this is going to film, but you'll know on your calendar. And there's some fear around not having followers. But what I'm seeing is that there is going to be a lot of followers, and this person is a teacher that they have many followers, and they look like little people. So congratulations. Of being a leader of light for those. So that's, again, what I'm getting on the second picture. Let's move on to the third picture. This one's going to be a little bit more interesting because we have license plates on the third picture. And I'm going to actually change who I'm focusing on and who needs to hear the message. So it won't be for the person that read it for picture 1 or for picture 2, but let's take a few minutes and see what you get from the pictures with the license plates. Okay, hopefully you've had enough time. So this is what I'm getting for the picture of the license plates. I'm seeing that someone is very confused about where to move and what location would be best for them, and it's becoming very confusing. So when that happens, we have to go into faith and trust. So I want you to ask yourself, what area makes your heart sing? Even if you have to sit down and write all the pros and cons for the different destination or city or state that you're looking into, your guides in spirit want you to write down pros and cons for each location. And then make that decision based on opening your heart and listening what would be best for you and for your development. So I would love to even hear what you guys got. I hope that you didn't miss the bottom plate that says, I love my truck. Maybe someone in your life is on the other side that actually loved their truck, and that's coming through for you. There can be a lot of different things. You know, I see grass or weeds growing from the plates down here. This could mean something as simple as whoever I'm thinking of, or even for yourself, that they need more greens and eat more greens. You could pick up a number in here. It could be a birth date. It could be a year that somebody was born or a year that you were born. If you are guided to pay attention to that, it's just Spirit's way of getting to you to try and communicate. Because again, we're communicating through our environment. Again, if you're a believer, you don't have any superpowers or any of the other senses, which you do, but this is your other way of getting messages. So I hope you enjoyed the license plate one. So let's move on to picture 4. Picture 4 is of stones. So I'm going to give you a minute. I want you to look at the picture again, write down any thoughts, feelings, or emotions that you get, and we'll be back in a minute. All right, so I'm doing my work over here too, so hopefully that was enough time for you. I see that someone is going through a very a big transition, and they were kind of cracked wide open, and they kind of feel that way. Sometimes we are cracked wide open. I also see it as a blessing. So that's the message I'm getting from the rocks. Some of the other features that you can pick out on these rocks, if you look at the lower left, excuse me, it looks like an arrow. That seems Native American to me. I see somebody in the rock with curly gray hair, or like a toupee. I find this is kind of comical. What else do I see? I see dice in gambling, and there being luck associated with that. There could be a trillion different messages in here, but these are a couple of things that I'm getting. I hope you're getting messages too. All right, so that was picture number 4. We're going to move to picture number 5. This is of one of my favorite subjects of clouds, and we have the sun peeking out. So we're going to give you a few minutes to look at the picture, and we'll come back and we'll hear what you got. So give yourself a minute. All right, I hope that's been enough time for you. I'm going to tell you about the messages I'm getting. I'm seeing that someone needs to open up their throat chakra. You need to speak more of your truth, and to focus on speaking it lovingly. Lovingly can mean just really putting a heart, like pretend there's a heart of love in your throat before speaking, because something's coming out too, like, maybe too strong for someone in receiving it. And it might be more effective to be more eloquent with your speaking. And I see the storm is below, and the light is there, and it's coming out. So, you know, there's other things that you can look at in this picture. I mean, if you stare at it, even for a few minutes, I actually see a serpent, like a snake, at the bottom right-hand corner of the picture. So I don't know what you got for it, but these are just some examples, and hopefully something resonated with you with the clouds. Again, we're looking at a picture, but there's nothing stopping you from going outside and checking it out too, okay? All right, so now the last picture, number 6. This is wood with old cracking blue paint on it, which I think is really beautiful. And we're going to give you a few minutes to write down any thoughts, feelings, senses that you get on the picture. So give yourself a few minutes. All right. Hopefully that was enough time for you. And this one, the message I'm getting from this picture is actually kind of a little sensitive for me. What I see is that there's a loved one on the other side that was in law enforcement, and I see 2 bullets, and I'm sorry. But it's really interesting how Spirit is getting through, and I don't even know who this message is for, but it's for somebody. This person is coming through. They're actually showing me a stone. Oh, Lord, what is the stone? It's a red stone with tan color on it. Is it rhodochrosm? Something along those lines. There's a stone that you are going to find from this spirit that's on the other side that is a gift to you. So that's what I'm getting from this picture of wood with the old blue paint on it. I would love to hear what you guys are getting, but again, I can't hear you. But I'm going to go through a couple more things to see what else I get and see if it resonates with you. I see a raccoon animal totem for somebody in Texas. So if you're in Texas, I recommend you looking up the raccoon animal totem. That would be a good message from Spirit for you. And there's tons of sites out there. Isn't it? It's such a simple picture, but there's so much in it. It's absolutely beautiful. I would actually probably buy this piece of wood with old paint on it because I love it. So everyone, I hope that this practice was beneficial to you. If you feel like you need more practice, again, we have our classes on the 3rd Monday of the month, or you can have a one-on-one with me. You don't have to be in our hometown. I can Zoom with you and help coach you through it. Stick around though. Make sure that you download the documents that are going to be attached here. You're going to be getting an opening prayer. You're going to be getting a sheet on auras. And you're going to be getting a list of the different mediums where you can obtain your intuitive messages. And I know that those will be helpful. Thanks for spending time with me. I hope you found this beneficial, and I'm grateful for all of you. Have a beautiful day. Thanks.